CBC Radio app, free. Download it today from the App Store or Google Play. This is CBC Radio 1, 88.5 FM in Montreal. CBC Music app, Canada's free digital music service. Over 150 web radio stations on your smartphone or tablet. Rock, rap, R&B, classical, country, Canadian composers, Indigenous, electronic, award-winning, reggae, Bollywood, Arabic classics. Music to chill out, work out, and fall in love with. Sad songs, smooth hits, and more. No commercials, no interruptions. The CBC Music app. Go to the App Store or the Play Store and download it today. The news is next, followed by Ideas with Paul Kennedy.
Almost everybody carries a cell phone these days, but a cell phone, among other things, is also a camera. And digital photography is changing our world. We'll try to find out whether anything happens without pictures on Ideas.
From CBC News, The World This Hour, I'm Blake Lambert. Canada's steel and auto industries had a dire warning today about the potential fallout from a trade war between Canada and the U.S. They expressed their fears during a special session of a parliamentary committee. Tom Perry has the story.
If we have a big downturn, I'm in trouble.
Bob Barway has poured just about everything into his business, selling cars and RVs in Whitby, Ontario. A trade war with Donald Trump is the last thing he can afford.
I believe Trump is a bear. We shouldn't be poking him too much.
Barway told a parliamentary committee the federal government should think twice before retaliating against U.S. tariffs on steel and aluminum. But Ken Newman of the United Steelworkers Union says Canada needs to stand firm.
And, I've heard the comment earlier in regards to saying, look, don't poke the bear. I'll tell you what, if you don't poke the bear, he's going to eat your lunch.
Canada is set to retaliate against the U.S. on July 1st, but Donald Trump is already considering further tariffs on cars imported into the U.S. Leaders from Canada's auto sector told the committee that could throw the country's economy into a tailspin. Tom Perry, CBC News, Ottawa.
Adjust the ISO here a little bit. And I think the white balance could be a little warmer.
President Donald Trump's travel ban. The restrictions will affect
go.
5 predominantly Muslim countries as well as North Korea and Venezuela. The court rejected a challenge that the ban is discriminatory. Chief Justice John Roberts says the policy is not rooted in.
So we're looking at the moon
despite the president's public comments.
through a 600mm Novo Flip lens, and the ISO is now 800. It previously was
it's time for other levels of government to step up.
I just think that the notion that the city of Toronto, even as the biggest city in the country, should be doing this all by itself doesn't make any sense. It's not fair.
Okay,
it's not
that's
right.
nice.
And I'm just asking
So yeah,
for
50th of a second shutter speed,
really
which might make for a somewhat
Tory says more than
blurred aircraft.
Seekers are currently housed in shelters and hotels
We'll
that have
see.
costed tens of millions of dollars. Hundreds of more are living in
And yeah, the moon's gone behind thin cloud. It should come out above it in a little while. And the sky is actually lighter than what we see here, but if I expose for the sky, the moon will be all washed out. So we're compromising a little bit to have a not washed out moon.
Stop young people from overdosing on opioids. It's the conclusion of a report released today. Here's Rafi Bujikanian.
Dilgraph wants kids in Alberta to start learning about opioids when they're young.
We certainly believe that it's in at least the elementary school grades when that needs to start.
Alberta's Child and Youth Advocate says that's one of his recommendations to the province for dealing with the opioids crisis. He examined the deaths of 12 different youths over the course of 2 years. Graf found 6 of them died after they were sent to safe houses where some made harmful connections, allowing them to still access drugs. He's asking for a review of how safe houses are run.
So the young people tell us that by and large their freedoms will be taken away, but not much else would happen to them.
The Health Ministry says it is reviewing the report's recommendations. Rafi Bujikanian, CBC News, Edmonton.
The Hockey Hall of Fame is pleased to welcome Willie O'Ree.
The NHL's first black player will be inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame this fall. Willie O'Ree made history in 1958 and went on to play 45 NHL regular season games for the Boston Bruins. Current NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman will also be inducted as a builder, and the player inductees include goalie Martin Brodeur, wingers Martin St. Louis, Canadian national women's team forward Jana Hecker. That's your world this hour. For CBC News, I'm Blake Lambert.
Hi, I'm Frank Cavallaro. Here's your forecast for tonight. Just a few clouds, partly cloudy overnight, mild night, a low near 14. That's normal, so not as cool as last night. Tomorrow, sunny in the morning, clouds moving in tomorrow afternoon, showers developing tomorrow night, warm, humidity going up. Wednesday's high, 27. Showers, possibly heavy thunder showers Thursday, a high near 24, 25. And hot and sunny Friday, a high 29. Saturday up to 31 and sunshine. Details go to cbc.ca/Montreal.
I'm Paul Kennedy. This is Ideas.
Every once in a while, a revolutionary product comes along that changes everything.
It's been just over a decade since our phones got really smart.
Well, today, we're introducing 3 revolutionary products of this class. An iPod, a phone, and an internet communicator. An iPod, a phone. Are you getting it?
Steve Jobs in 2007.
These are not 3 separate devices. This is one device. And we are calling it iPhone. Today, Apple is going to reinvent the phone.
Within a few years, Apple did just that and refined a feature on that phone, one that's changed the way we take photographs.
A whole new camera system built into iPhone 4. And the pictures that we're taking off this are pretty remarkable. Of course, you can do portrait and landscape.
In less than a decade, the smartphone has become our camera of choice. It's a tool of memory, of creativity, and it's encouraged a whole new kind of self-portraiture. Not without controversy, of course. That got my Ideas colleague Lisa Godfrey thinking. What's in your mind, Lisa?
Well, I guess it's just such a massive change of technology, and we kind of take it for granted. It's just somehow crept seamlessly into our lives. For anyone who's not a digital native, it's really such a contrast to the way everyday photography used to operate.
Oh, when can I pick up the pictures? Thursday. It's Thursday. Okay, let me make a note of that.
Can I write it down there?
Oh, well, it's going to.
Well, then let's say Tuesday. If this customer were at a Photomat store, we'd be introducing him to a brand new picture pickup promise. Photomat's way of telling you exactly when your pictures will be ready. That quick?
Sure, and if it doesn't work out, you get a free roll of film.
Oh, you get in trouble with
No
that.
problem. Free roll from the Photomat Paul.
I like olden times. Let's go back there. Yeah.
No, it took too long. But obviously it's not just the technology that changed. There's been a commensurate sort of cultural shift in the last decade. We're all walking around now, you go to any city and people are just head down. Everybody's looking at the world through the filter of their phones. Sometimes I take the bus and I just think Godzilla could be climbing a building and people would not know unless it appeared on the Facebook feed or Instagram feed that they're looking at that particular moment. And I found that kind of depressing. And yet when I told a friend I wanted to maybe explore cell phone photography and maybe do an Ideas documentary about it, he warned me to not just concentrate on the negatives, not focus on it. No pun intended.
Your friend is sort of in my camp. I think I'm on his side. But what do other people say? What do some of the critics say about the downside of cellular photography?
Well, the worry that we're just making these photos and posting them and it's all just becoming data for social media companies, Silicon Valley, that we're distracted from real life by taking and posting just this endless stream of images, apparently more than 1 trillion a year at this point. And we don't print or archive them the way we used to, so really what's the point? And that our enthusiasm for selfies and this daily documenting of every meal and coffee is just all about sort of narcissism and self-promotion rather than doing what photography can do at its best, which is create meaning and connection between people.
Okay, that case closed, really, but is there an upside?
Yeah, you know, I think all of us sort of enjoy the ease and the sharing capability of smartphone photography, and it's kind of nice to see so much creativity out there. I think people who didn't consider themselves photographers or artists are actually doing kind of great things. And
consider themselves to be Joseph Carp.
Well, not so much, but they are seeing their world in a different way.
So everybody's
let's just
talk to everybody, I suppose.
readjust the
something about what we're going
cam. I thought about starting a new frame, but I think we're just
I
gonna
did not. And I guess what really
reframe the existing video
the
level here.
common ground between the past and present eras of sort of personal photography, the
Okay.
analog and the digital, and how things like time, memory, meaning, and connection have come into play the entire span of photography's life. So ultimately, this is really about how we continue to see our lives through photography and how technology and marketing, as well as personal choice, come into play when we think about the images that we like, that we prefer, and that we want to take.
So kindly turn off your phones or overlook the documentary about the rise of cell phone photography. From Ideas producer, Lisa Godfrey.
So, over 1 trillion pictures a year. That has 12 zeros if you're counting. That's the latest global estimate of the number of photos we're taking, and more than 80% of those images are taken with a smartphone.
Usually quite mundane, amateur type imagery.
In fact, maybe it's the very banality that's notable when it comes to everyday photography.
It's the same image that we effectively see. How many birthday party photos should we look at before we start to recognize that there's a certain kind of pose that we conduct?
What is that? Can you blow out your candles? Blow out your candles.
But I feel like what's effectively happening is a reproduction of everyday rituals and rites of passage. And this is how we are shaping ourselves in response to knowing that we are being viewed. We're seeing ourselves being seen.
Seeing ourselves being seen. Those images that fly by on Facebook or Instagram are telling, especially for researchers.
It's a very good way of looking at people's intimate, private, kind of emotional lives and how they depict those and think about them, and how that also connects to far wider kind of social, cultural, and particularly technological change. And so this is a really good way of looking at that, and has been over the last century and a half.
Maybe this would be a nice point to get you to do that self-ID.
My name's Martin Hand. I'm an associate professor of sociology at Queen's University, and I study the ways in which technologies of various kinds are folded into people's everyday lives and what difference they make to the conduct of everyday life.
My name is Thi Fu, and I'm a professor at Western University in the Department of English and Writing Studies. My area of emphasis is predominantly visual culture and visual studies with a focus on photography.
These two academics study everyday photography in that fine-grained way that scholars and researchers do. But why should the rest of us be interested?
It's not so much that I want to recuperate the everyday, because there is a kind of I acknowledge a tedium of the sameness. But what's interesting to me is to understand how, despite the sameness, we still reproduce it. All of us, in some fashion, feel compelled to reproduce it. And also, despite this banality, nevertheless, we cling to and feel emotionally attached to images that are banal, that are not visually striking in any way at all. So that, to me, is an interesting kind of question. What accounts for this attachment that transcends the banality of the image, the fact that they're not interesting?
Yeah, okay, look here.
Photography Photography has been around since the 1820s, and almost 2 centuries later, we still want to take pictures, pose in pictures, and share pictures. And now technology has made it all very, very easy. But how can we find emotional meaning or connection with pictures when there are just so many of them? Some see those trillion photos a year as an image glut, which I think we can safely call a 21st century phenomenon.
It's not exactly. There are now, of course, more images circulating than there have ever been before, but it's not a new idea. And with photography, especially in the past and in the early to mid-19th century, there were already ideas about how there will be so many photographs. My name is Elizabeth Cronin, and I am the Assistant Curator of Photography at the New York Public Library.
And co-curator of an exhibition there about the history of sharing photography, which we've all apparently been doing since photography was invented, even back when cameras
another
were
adjustment here.
and often left to a professional
To the
studio.
left.
Still, there were popular photo formats that contributed to that sense of a 19th century image
Not
glut.
the most
One was called a carte de visite.
fine-tuned tripod head here.
Than a business card.
Okay,
now,
there we
and
go.
it would have the portrait of a person
I'm
on
going to
it,
adjust
and
the
these
ISO a
cards
little here.
were used as calling cards, as business cards, but they
Okay.
soon became portraits that people would have, and they would collect them, and also family members would have them.
Okay, maybe
and put
I'll
them in
tone
their
down
album.
the,
And then celebrities would also
white balance a little,
figures would also have them made, and that's how their image
It's a bit too blue.
became known, and
That's
certain
better.
people would collect portraits of different celebrities, writers. So in a sense, the idea that images are everywhere isn't a new idea. It's just a lot more now.
Now we have Instagram and Facebook, but their roots are there.
One more time, we're looking at the almost full moon.
Not just in how photos were shared,
It's
but in
the
what photos actually
26th of June 2018, using a 600 millimeter Novoflex lens that I picked up on eBay maybe a decade ago for £50, and it sat in England for a while until my brother recently brought it back for me. I'd hoped to be able to get over there and pick it up myself, but didn't quite work out. So we're basically just doing test shots, and I have to say I'm pretty happy with the sharpness of the lens. I was not expecting it to be that sharp, and I'm not saying it is that sharp, but it's quite reasonable, and I'm certainly not complaining in light of the fact that I only paid, you know, the equivalent of, let's say, $100 for it. So for $100 worth of lens, I think we're doing quite nicely here, and quite happy with the results.
It reminds me that, number one, if this kind of hand wringing is a quieter version of the sky is falling, that the sky has been falling for a long time. But I do take your point that we seem to be reaching a very high point of abundance. And what this means is a different way of looking, rather than what one imagines might be an earlier era where you linger over the individual snapshot or the image and pull away kind of the one or two that were especially powerful and put it in your wallet. If I ever teach my students, I used to, back in the old days, say, pull out the image that's in your wallet. I can't say that anymore. But I wonder if that's the case with their cell phone. Perhaps they do have a few that they favorite with the heart icon, the one that others have bumped up in terms of likes. It's just a different form of cataloging, a way of engaging with images that I think is notable and worth understanding further, rather than suggesting that we no longer know what is important or valuable because of the sheer abundance of images. It's just too premature.
What about the content of our personal photography? Before smartphones came along, things were freer. Before we started using hashtags and copying Instagram conventions like hashtag food porn or hashtag cute to draw likes and attention, we made our own choices, damn it. Or maybe not.
Now come the days of warm, bright sun. Carefree, happy days. These are days to enjoy again. Days to save in pictures.
The Kodak moment is really significant because of its sophisticated advertising campaign that actually educated consumers about what a family is, what it should look like, and how to see it themselves.
And a proud young man brings his own catch home for the first time